Good evening, guys. As you can see, the sun is setting behind me. We are deep in the swamp. I'm going to head up to the hunting blind. We're going to sit there for the last hour of sunset. Maybe we'll hear some noises, capture some stuff out in the swamps. But I'm also doing 2 videos tonight. So while we're there, I'm going to take the opportunity to connect with the spirits out here in the woods. I've got a case that I want to talk about with you guys, a murder case. And I've got 20 questions that I want to ask the spirits and see what kind of answers we get as we sit out here and just listen for knocks or any strangeness going on deep in the swamp. Following an old deer trail here. The snow is pretty deep. I walked through here last week. And you can see the deer have walked where I walked. So not much of a trail. Not much in way of sign for animals moving up here. Couple of deer tracks, that's about it. The sun is just going down back there now. So this case that we're going to take a look at, guys, I have not given any information during the recording process. What I've done so far is I found all the articles I wanted. I researched it. I spent half a day doing that. My phone was nowhere present. I did not read any parts out loud. I did not say anything out loud. I wrote down almost 20 questions. And we are not going to give any information on this case as we do these questions. I will fill in that information for you guys during the editing process. I'll seamlessly put it all together so you will get the research side of it along with the spirit side of it. And what I'm trying to basically assess tonight, it's a bit of a test really for the spirits, is it's not so much the case because the case is unsolved, right? We know the facts. I've gathered all the information that there is to gather. But what I want to see is, can the spirits come through a Spirit Box app, in this case Necrophonic, and give us information that we know we can verify through my research? That is the point of this video. So you guys will know the name of this murder case because it's in the title of the video. However, I have not said it, and these spirits will not be able to, or let's put it this way, the app will not be able to listen to me and figure out what it is, because I have not said it. Here we go, guys. Not giving anything away. Here are the questions I've come up with on this case. The date is April 18th, 1963. Location, Cache Bay. A grisly murder is about to take place. Tell me about it. Oh, I have to stop this right there. There's a full shiver down the back of my neck. They just said a word. That is a huge part. Oh, a full shiver is a huge part of this case. These guys were doing something. I don't want to say anything. But it never ceases to amaze me, some of the stuff that comes out of here. I'll continue on letting them say what they have to say about that first statement. What was the name of the murder victim? I'm pretty sure it just said his name. A second man was brutally attacked that night. What was his name? Were these two men related? Okay, so I'm going to ask the spirits here, be precise in answering my questions. I know you're giving other information that is pertinent to the case because I heard a couple of words there. Oh, somebody let Gage out. Here comes Mr. Gage. He found me back here in the hunting blind. I didn't bring him because I wanted it to be quiet. I heard him barking coming down the trail. You better go home, buddy. You can't get in. The door is zippered. Go on home. Survivor recalls night of savage murder. It was 12 years ago last Friday that the district experienced its most cruel murder, branded as the dog chain murder, by newsmen. It had been cold but clear earlier on April 18, 1963, but lightning marked the sky that night and a persistent rain battered the area to the slow growl of thunder. In a barn off a Caldwell Township road, one man lay still. Another struggled with a small pocket knife in an effort to cut his bonds. Twine raveled around dog chains. Lionel Saburin, 52, was the dead man. He had been shot 6 times. His brother Richard, now 73, has been shot twice. He survived and still recalls the savage attack. I wasn't scared then and I'm not scared now, Richard Saburin told the Nugget, but I'll remember that night until I die. The only thing I wish is that I can see justice done before that time comes. From 4 to 6 men were involved in the attack. Police gathered many items at the scene and have constructed a file nearly 3 inches thick. Everything is locked in a vault at the Sturgeon Falls Provincial Police Station. There has been never enough evidence there to merit an arrest. The evidence sits in Sturgeon Falls, but the investigation is headed by Sergeant Jean-Paul Racine of the Ontario Provincial Police Intelligence Branch at Toronto. Constable Racine had been assigned to duty in Sturgeon Falls a few days when the murder was reported. As a constable, he was called to the scene and has remained involved ever since. It was around 8:30 p.m., a Thursday. The Saburin brothers, who were bachelors, were finishing milking their cows on their 700-acre farm. Lionel Saburin had gone to the rear of the barn. Richard was closer to the door with the cows. 4 hooded men entered the barn. One remained near the doorway holding a shotgun as if to watch for intruders. The 3 others made their way towards Richard. 2 younger men were holding clubs and began swinging at Richard. They broke his wrist. Richard Saburin grabbed a bucket and started swinging it at them. He grazed the head of a short man. 3 shots were fired. An older man who walked with a limp held a large pistol or sawed-off shotgun. The first shot hit Richard in the thigh. A second missed, but a third struck his abdomen. Although wounded, Richard ran through the cows, but tripped and fell. He was dragged out of the stall by his milking apron and later chained and roped to a nearby stall. Some of the men spoke in French, Richard Saburin said. while others spoke in English. I asked them, "Do you want to kill me?" They answered, "No." "Why are you here then?" No one answered. "When they tied me up to the stall, my hat was knocked off," Richard Burns said. "I asked one of the younger men to put it back on my head, and he did." A short time later, Lionel was brought and tied near Richard. His feet and hands were also bound, but he lay motionless. "I knew he was dead," Richard said. They tied his feet to the stall, raising him slightly off the floor. He was covered with blood. It was at 9:30 the next morning that help finally came. Michael Steep, a neighbor, had made arrangements with Richard the previous day for his cow's horns to be cut. Richard was to have done the work. Mr. Steep could do nothing but call the police and attend to Richard. Police were soon on the scene. They had to use bolt cutters to remove the chains from the Sabern brothers. "Get me out of here, my brother is dead, and I am tired," were the first words uttered by Richard to police. Lionel was dead, but death hadn't come easily. He was tortured. None of the bullet marks showed damage to the vital parts of his body. It was as if the men wanted some information or were simply wild animals on the loose. Lionel was recognized as the banker of the family, and both were rumored as having a great deal of money around the house. But Lionel had made a deposit at Canadian National Bank in Sturgeon Falls that morning. Around 11:30, one night in September of the year before, two men broke into the Sabern home. They were wearing nylon stockings over their faces. Richard was still awake. "I could hear footsteps in the kitchen," he said. "The men were wearing shoes, and I knew my brother wouldn't get his shoes on just to come down the stairs during the night." His bedroom was located on the main floor, adjacent to their office where the safe was located. The men first stood in the doorway of the living room, ready to make their way towards the office when they saw Richard Sabern standing near them. "One man punched me in the face. I fell back, but soon ran down to my bedroom and got a rifle," Richard related. Both men ran off. The Saberns had been lending money for many years, according to Richard. They were shrewd businessmen and had never made a loan they regretted. Their interest, he said, never exceeded 8%. Could it have been that among the men of April 18th were those who unsuccessfully tried to rob the Saberns in September? Were they seeking revenge? The safe in the Sabern home had been forced open the night of the slaying. Tools belonging to the Saberns were used. The contents, including several $1,000 bonds, were scattered on the floor. It wasn't known how much money was taken. A footprint bearing a small diamond insignia was found on the safe by police. Police gathered 68 items of evidence at the scene. "Hey, I think he's actually going home," I yelled. "Go home!" He ran back down the trail anyway. I forget where I was. Interruptions.